I also want to be sure and acknowledge the contributions of a few people to this exhibition. Firstly, High Point Cooperative member Nancy A. Johnson, who told us about Grafiska Sällskapet following a trip to Stockholm a few years ago. And that prompted us to reach out to them to see if they'd be interested in collaborating on an exhibition here at High Point in the United States. And I want to thank Bruce Karstead and Karen Nelson, as well as the other folks at American Swedish Institute here in Minneapolis for their help in publicizing this exhibition. And finally, thank you to the three of you, Boo, Emmy, and Annalie, for all of your work in curating this exhibition and sending the prints over to us, as well as for preparing for this presentation. So the presentation is going to start with two videos. One of them is a short film about Grafiska Sällskapet that was produced recently. And the second video is just a couple minutes long walkthrough of the exhibition here at High Point. After that comes the exciting part. Boo, Emmy, and Annalie are going to tell us about the pictorial traditions in Swedish printmaking. And in that slideshow, it's going to include examples of contemporary printmaking that are included in the exhibition here. So with all that out of the way, I'd like to introduce and welcome our guests, Annalie Larsson-Ljung, Emmy Dijkstra, and Boo Gonarp. And before I switch to sharing my screen, I'd just like each of you to introduce yourselves and your role at Grafiska.
Okay, I'm Annalie Larsson-Ljung, and I'm the chairman of the Grafiska Sällskapet.
My name is Bo Gonarp, and I am the cashier or the treasurer or the... I have the money.
And my name is Emmy Dijkstra, and I'm a supportive board member.
Great, thank you. So now I'm going to share my screen, and we'll start with those two videos before your discussion.
Grafiska Sällskapet is an association and a gathering place for everyone who like graphic art or work with graphic art. We have 430 members. They are all artists who work with graphic print in many different techniques. We also have some members abroad who all have some form of activity in Sweden. The center is our gallery, which is situated in the middle of Stockholm. Every year we have at least 12 different exhibitions in the gallery. And the gallery consisting of 3 rooms. There you also can find works in drawers or in our stands with all 430 members. Every year we choose 10 of the members to make a portfolio with 132 prints each. In the gallery, you meet Björn Orkanda, and in the inner room, we have our talented frame maker, Curated. In another place, but in the same part of Stockholm, we have a graphic workshop. There, 25 of our members print their graphic image. In Paris, we own an apartment donated by the artist Madeleine Geek. Because of that, we call it Atelier Madeleine. Members can book and stay here for a small fee. We also organize exhibitions at other places, sometimes even abroad. Every 3 years, we organize a Nordic Triennale. There all graphic artists from all the Nordic countries can apply to.
Okay, Boo, I think you had said you were going to talk a little bit about the collecting and distribution of prints in Sweden before talking about the melancholy of Swedish landscape. That's correct, right?
Yes. We can talk about it in a way that this is a tradition special for Sweden, I think, both in promoting the arts. It's an association strongly connected to the Social Democratic Party and unions, and it did for many years. It started in the late 40s, but it had an idea of presenting good art all over Sweden for everyone affordable also to buy art. And it was made like they bought many editions from many artists, presenting them all over Sweden in workplaces, offices, factories, all over. So everyone could meet good art and even be able to afford to buy it. And that's why Swedish Prince normally is affordable or low in prices if you compare them to other countries around us. The other tradition, maybe even more special in Sweden, is art clubs at workplaces where workers, offices, workers and in factories all over started art clubs, members paying a fee. The company also paid normally as much as the members did altogether, and they bought art for that, and much of the art bought was prints. And then you have a lottery and you could win an art.
I say something.
Yeah, Anneli wants to say something.
Yes, and it's also tradition in Sweden to educate people to know how to look at the art. I don't know how to say it in English. Folk educate for everyone to know more about, to read picture. And
a very strong association was the Workers' Educational Association. So it's been very strongly connected to a social democratic idea of the good home in Sweden. So, and the art clubs was one of the ingredients for that, and it was very beneficial for artists in Sweden. The promotion of arts is still working, but now in another direction, more of topics, social topics, making videos and other kinds of presentations around it, and doing exhibitions and inviting people for discussions and so on. But for many, many years, prints were the way of presenting good art for everyone. That's what I think I can say now, and Emmy wants to say something about that too.
Because Emmy is from Holland.
Yeah.
So
I can relate to what Bo has been telling us about the printmaking here in Sweden. I can relate to it from my personal experience when I moved to Sweden almost 8 years ago. Then I noticed a very strong printmaking community. And I was already working as a printmaker in Holland. And when I moved to Sweden, I had to start all over again. And so I noticed a strong community, and there are like workshops all over the country. And you have like a lot of possibilities for grants and stipends you can apply for. And of course, when you come in as a foreigner, you have to make your work, you have to find a way in, so you can join this community. And because it wasn't that easy, I didn't know the language, and I didn't know the habits and the traditions. So I found a way. I developed a workshop, a printmaking workshop, and I started to teach it I taught it all around Sweden. And it was a really nice way to integrate, to get to know a lot of people, a lot of artists. And so printmaking has been a really nice way for me um, to, to integrate here in Swedish society. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah, and then we have discussed, and we found out that there are 4 lines in the Swedish tradition, and the first line the Bo will talk about, the melancholy landscape prints.
Anyway, I want to talk about the black and white tradition. The melancholy is only a part of it, I think, but really from the beginning, it's the black and white tradition that's been and still is a very vital and vibrant tradition. Many artists work in that tradition, and they normally also from the beginning have a great pride in being very skilled technicians, technically.
Yes.
And so the landscape, the nature is the main topic, I think, in this black and white tradition. And if you...
Yes, can I say?
Anneli wants to say something?
I think the Swedish people really love the nature. We really love, and we love it's quite dark here, and it's humid, and yeah, it's grey, and we get very melancholic, and yeah.
But we're happy
Yes,
anyway.
yeah, we are happy.
Yes. I can come back to the Promotion of Art Association. This year they will have a big work with the forest between us, and this is very Swedish tradition. That they will work with it in exhibitions and art exhibitions all over Sweden.
Yeah.
But anyway, the black and white tradition still alive, still vibrant, still vital. Very good artists.
Yes, and here we see Kurt Hamner, and he's still alive, and very alive, and he is a very skilled. Yeah, he do a very nice landscape prints.
Maybe
and
we could show the other ones at the same
Yeah.
time now,
Yes.
Josh.
Can you continue? Yes, and here to the left we have Axel Friedel, and also landscape. He made a lot of landscape print. And
I can say that Axel Tridel is maybe one of the main figures in the early black and white traditions that are very loved in Sweden for its technical and nice pictures all over Sweden and from England, London.
Dry points and etching.
Yeah.
And in the exhibition, I think that Sten Eriksson worked a little bit in this tradition, and even Lisa V. Carlson. And you can continue, Josh.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Because when you look to these landscapes, I always, when I'm like in Swedish nature, it's really overwhelming. You have like enormous lakes and forests, and it can be so quiet. You can walk for hours and not meet
A person, yes, and Sten Eriksson
It's
Jakobsson's
I
picture.
think the stillness and the quietness also reflects in these black and white prints.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
you're right.
even in Sten Eriksson Jakobsson's
Yeah.
picture, I think it's
Okay.
quiet. Yeah, you can continue. Next.
Yeah.
As,
These are two today working artists in the black and white tradition that are very skilled.
yes, and
It's typical in a way,
yes.
nature, but we can add also people and architecture or
Yes,
houses or
yes.
buildings. So, but it's
Yeah.
sort of,
yes, both of them
yeah.
working in that tradition.
I think we can,
Continue. Yeah.
or do you want to talk more about the melancholy?
Yes, I like it. I'm Swedish. Yes, I'm very melancholy.
Okay.
But we can continue. We continue. Yes, and here's another line in Sweden, and it's interesting. I think it didn't exist for 100 years. Yes, for 150 years ago. It was in the beginning of the 1900th century. It started when the artists couldn't do their study travels to Italy, to Germany, to France as they used to do. The artists had to stay at home because of the First World War. And there they had to look back in the Swedish tradition to get some inspiration, and they find the Swedish medieval church. And the Swedish medieval church, there are a lot of paintings, very pedagogic. There's a short, it's a flat picture space, flat picture space, and directly and a little bit humoristic, quick, clear, and I think a lot of Swedish artists is still working with this tradition from the beginning of the 1900s, from the last century. So, for instance, Birgitta Nerman, Guardian Angel, a little bit humoristic and very alive.
Naive.
Yes, naive. Yeah, short space.
Yeah.
And the other one, you see, it's 500 years old. Albertus Pictor, he is a well-known painter from that time in the medieval church. And you see, it's very pedagogic. The knight is playing chess with the death. Yeah. Oh, we can continue. Josh, next, we can see the next. And here, Eva Mossing Larsson, I think also directly, a little bit humoristic. Yes, and even Solveig Lettonen, it's she's telling a story, and directly and nice. Yeah.
Next one.
You can take Maria Hed also this short space and directly and a little bit humoristic, I think. Yes, here is one of the Swedish painter and printer in the beginning of the last century, who had to stay at home because of the First World War. Yes, Sten Eriksson, very famous artist in Sweden.
Yeah, very loved artist.
Yeah.
Yes, very loved.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here's Eva Rex. She's also she's telling a story, and of course it's a little bit deep, but she's telling a nice story, and yeah, a little bit naive. And,
for me, the storytelling in Swedish printmaking is so typical Swedish.
yeah,
Okay.
It is.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
Mm.
nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's from the church. You know, a little bit pedagogic.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they are still like there are still artists working that
Yes,
way.
yes, and a lot of
Yeah.
artists.
Yeah, exactly.
It's typical Swedish. Yes, we can continue. Yes, and there's a third line, the abstract line, but we think that the abstract work, the artist who is working with abstract, doing abstract print, they use quite often the nature. Not this one. This is Tore Hultkrantz, but there is some. Of course, there's a town. It's a town.
But it's on its way to
Yeah.
abstraction.
Yes, it is.
I mean, maybe the tradition that he has been looking at is the German expressionists.
Yes, also.
In the
Yes.
Diedrich or Blaureiter and so on. And it's on its way
Yes.
to be abstract.
Yes, but we can look at the next picture. Yes, if you see Lennart Rode to the right, I think it's typical. It's I don't remember the name. It's something with the forest, and you can see the forest. You know
Pine
it, but
trees.
yeah, but it's abstract. He used the landscape and do something else. And the same is the picture from the exhibition, Lotta Frost, is also some abstract. She looked at the nature a little bit above, I think, and it's the earth, and she finds something.
And yesterday you mentioned something about it looks almost like a map.
Yes, it looked like,
above.
yes, exactly.
From above.
Yes, from above.
Yeah.
We can look at next. Yes, and even here to the right, you can imagine some kind of nature, but you're not sure. It's not. It's abstract. You don't know if it's a nature or not. And to the left, it's really abstract.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's maybe it's just abstract.
It's a little box.
Yeah, it's a box here. Maybe, yeah. Yes. Yeah, we can continue. Yes. And here, at the end of the 60s and the beginning of the 70s, the artists in Sweden worked very political. And they used the art as a weapon. And they wanted to spread a message to make people understand the reality or the inequality in the society. And the artists were protesting against the capitalistic system. And here you see Maria Ruta and Petter Sandström is from the 70s. And Petter Sandström's woodcut is called The Pig's Rules. And yeah, they used the picture, and quite often the prints to spread the message. And it was easy for to people to buy because it wasn't so expensive to buy art. So and we think that in the exhibition, there is one political printer, Nina Bondesson. It's not so exactly against the society, but she is telling us something about the society, and the title is The Influence of the Environment. She wants to tell us.
I think you can say that she's talking about the complexity of the society today, how to figure out how to live, how to be a good person maybe, and how environment really influences us in many ways, both good and bad. There's another picture of her, the next one. And you really have to look for a long time trying to see what you can find out in that one, and I think it can mean a lot different things for everyone who's trying to solve the question, what's it about?
Yes, exactly. And it's the nature. It's the landscape also.
The nature and the landscape always has a part
And
to
black
play.
and white.
Yeah,
And
So
the
yeah, it's black and white. It's all the four lines.
Yeah.
the black and white tradition.
It's all in one print.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
the whole presentation.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Okay.
Well,
Maybe
great.
you could say today about young artists are being more and more political.
Yeah, they are.
And doing a lot of work about what I formerly talked about. It's the environment, racism, immigration, migration, HBTQ questions, and so on, and doing a lot of work, but maybe not so much prints. They are doing other kinds of
But I think both.
Yeah.
I think I think they are
more and
doing
more
prints.
political art is made in Sweden today.
Yes.
There
Would
are
you?
crossovers between
Yeah.
different expressions, and what you also see nowadays is like these artist-driven galleries and studios doing something together.
Would you find examples of contemporary political art being pasted, what we in the US we call it wheat pasting, where you can actually apply something to the exterior of a building using a paste? Would you find prints like that being displayed with political messages in Stockholm?
Yeah, you mean like the street art with political messages? Is that what
Yeah, a form of street art.
Yeah, form of street art.
Oh no, maybe it's because of the climate also. It's so cold. It's so cold and it's humid and no, it's not so much outdoors. It's inside, but it's inside. It's not in ordinary galleries all the time. It's pop-up galleries sometimes, and they just the youth choose maybe a place. Now we have an exhibition here and invite people, but not all outdoors. It's very seldom in the summer maybe.
So are you actually talking about graffiti?
No, not graffiti. Prints, because it's so easy to make multiples. In the United States, oftentimes people will just apply a temporary paste onto the back of a piece of paper they printed on and put it onto a building.
No, it's not so common.
But it exists.
Maybe I'm wrong. I have to think really hard.
Yeah. During the summertime, but organized. It's not so dangerous art.
We are a little bit lost, I think, in
Yeah,
this.
Okay.
it's not
Yeah.
like in 70s. It was something else in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yes, they were painting at the walls and to spread the message about the society, and it's not like that.
Okay.
And like listed.
Like listed people.
Yeah, there are some people working with it, maybe.
Before we open it to our audience for questions, I have just two more quick ones that I thought of while you were talking. Back to the political art, examples like these on the left, are those prints that would have been found typically in a gallery when they were made, or would they have been in more of like a...
No, in galleries, even in galleries. It
Okay.
was allowed. It was
Yeah.
okay in that time. It was okay then.
It makes me want to do a little follow-up research on what was happening socially in Sweden in the 1970s, because
Yes, and I have an idea that, or when our prime minister in 1986 was murdered, then everything changed in Sweden. I think people get afraid. Yeah,
You mean afraid to be outspoken?
yes, the climate changed at that time. What do you think?
Difficult to
I
say.
can't tell.
Difficult to say.
Yeah.
Difficult to say. Really, something changed in a way, because it was, and maybe still is, a trauma.
And then my other question, back to the what you called the naive narrative.
Yeah.
So these contemporary artists like Birgitta Nerman, they do have the advantage of being able to learn about perspective. However, they're just, am I correct that they're just continuing the tradition of flattening the pictorial space?
I didn't understand the question. Once again. The question.
So you were talking about because of World War I, Swedish artists, many of them weren't able to do the what I've heard referred to as the grand tour, where you go to look at the work of masters in Italy and Germany and elsewhere. So they weren't learning about perspective, perhaps, because when I look at...
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
But I think people choose to work in this way
Also.
Because they think they want to do it, because it's more direct, and the story is more important than to be correct with.
Yeah, I think so.
Perspective.
As you said before, that we like to tell stories.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I love that term, the naive narrative. I think it fits it perfectly. It doesn't imply that the artist is incapable of rendering a form three-dimensionally.
No, it's a choice, and
Yeah.
like Bo said, it to be direct, and that the story, it's the story that counts.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to stop my screen share now, and I'm going to see if there's any questions here. I'm not sure how to read this. I do not speak Swedish. It says, like Klister Peter with Hos Rodiers.
Yeah,
it had to do with the question you asked about people doing, what you call it, pasted.
Yeah, like leaving these political messages.
Yeah, and it was an example of a person working today in that tradition. With,
Okay.
So klisterpeter is meaning klister. It's the same word in English.
Yeah.
It's the same word in
paste.
English.
Paste.
Oh, interesting. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ellen, for sharing that. I'll have to look around for that.
Maybe there's some of the Swedish viewers who can fill in something.
Yeah, can add something to this question.
Yeah, yes, you do.
Not only to this
Yes.
question, but to what we have said. Maybe they think we're totally wrong.
No. You're not
But you're-
allowed to say that.
You're not. No one's expecting you to know absolutely everything that takes place artistically. That's impossible.
Because we are also just printers.
Okay.
Does anyone else in the audience have any questions? If you do, please go ahead and type them in the chat. In the meantime, I think it would be interesting to know a little bit about each of you, how you function as an artist and as a working professional as well, how you balance that time. That's something in the United States, a lot of our all artist members here at High Point have to have a day job, and then their artist practice is often separate from that.
Yes. In Sweden, almost all the artists is working with something else also, so they can afford to be an artist. Because, as we told, you can buy art for a small fee in Sweden. So then we can't live on our art. So for me, for instance, I'm working in Västerås Art School, it's called, and I think it's interesting to just how to say, just to educate, not educate, to formulera.
Formulate?
Formulate? No, not formulate. No.
You can't find the word.
Yeah, I can't find the word. But for me, yes, every day in my whole life, even if I work, I go to the atelier and work with my art and make exhibitions 1 or 2 times a year, and And when we in Sweden, when we are working with something else, we also get free to do what we want as an artist. It's harder if you have to earn money and live on your art. Then you have to look what do I have to make. Yes, no, I don't find.
I think I follow what you're trying to say is if you're trying to live off your artwork alone, you kind of have to cater the art that you're making to what is going to sell.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's the same for you.
Yeah.
It's ordinary.
Yeah.
You're working with something else, and then you also work with your art. So you're sharing your time between the art and also with some kind of job. And in Sweden, it was quite popular before, in other cases, to work at the post. So the post office have such a good artist, so they had their own exhibitions with a really good artist. So
really, I didn't know that. That's so cool. Yeah.
It's the same for me. I've been working since I ended Royal College here in Stockholm. I started to work selling alcohol at the state monopoly system we have here, and I've been working normally 2 to 3 days a week, and then I've been able to support myself economically. I have a stable economic situation. And I can afford to have a studio here in Stockholm, and I have a studio at another place up in the countryside. And so I've been working selling alcohol for a little bit over 30 years, but I've retired from that, so I'm 100% artist.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Living on my pension.
But it's nice.
And Emmy,
Yes.
Emmy, you're also an educator, right?
Yeah, I'm an art. I've been working as an art educator for many years, and I taught a lot of printmaking workshops, and I did a lot of school projects, art projects in different schools. And then a couple of years ago, I was already living here in Stockholm. I became interested in the Waldorf pedagogy, and I decided that I wanted to become a Waldorf teacher. So I'm working in my studio, and I'm working in school, in a Waldorf school, and I'm a student.
Also.
So, and I hope to graduate next year. So
That's good. It's never
Yeah.
too late.
and I just want
Good
to
for you.
continue to combine these two passions, really.
Yes.
And,
And it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
I think
Yeah.
I saw a question.
Yep.
Oh, a question.
We have 2 questions that have come in. So the first one is, are those 4 themes that that you guys have covered unique to Sweden, or are they more Scandinavian themes generally?
I think you can say that the first thing I talked about, the art for everyone, promoting the arts for everyone, and the art clubs are quite special anyway for Sweden.
I think so.
Maybe the black and white isn't. I think that's more common.
Yeah. And
but
also the narrative, it's also in the Scandinavian countries. I think it's the same in the Scandinavian countries. I think so. I don't know the political tradition in Norway, and I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe. What do you think? But of course,
difficult to say.
Yeah, but the abstract lines, I think it's in Denmark and Norway, and in Finland. Oh, yes, very much in Finland. The abstract line, it exists in Finland. They have a tradition of that, more than Sweden, I think.
So it looks like it's more the distribution and the promotion of art and the art clubs that are very special Swedish.
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, but we are open to be corrected.
Yeah.
If it's not.
Yes, correct us.
Correct us.
Yeah.
But there is no Norwegian or Danish people here now.
No.
No. Yes. But
I was very interested to learn with those books that you sent to us at High Point, just how vital printmaking in the Nordic countries is. I had no idea the number of print shops and print communities that existed there.
Yeah.
yes.
And I need to tell our American audience too that I remarked at looking through that book how immaculately clean each of those print shops was.
No, but it was cleaned up before the photos, I think.
There's only so much you can hide for a photo.
Oh yes.
Yes.
And then we also had another question. Somebody wants to know, how did you select which works and artists of Grafiska Sällskapet would be featured in the show at High Point?
I can tell you about it. It was first Maria Eriksson who got the question to do this, and she's been doing it in a way of promoting mostly for women, but also men. But she was totally independent in picking out what she wanted. So, and then we had to, we couldn't take everyone with us.
No, because they were not any longer member in the Grafiska Sällskapet, and the picture that she wanted us to send to High Point Center, it didn't exist. So then we had to complete.
I used the list from Maria Eriksson and picked out what we had at the gallery. So it was sort of natural way. We got 30 artists that I could pick out, and I added some more men to the exhibition, so it would be more likable how the member situation is here at the Grafiska Sällskapet.
Or discuss, we know that's such a decision.
And I think Maria and you, Josh, talked about it before we came in, or I came in.
Yeah, so for everyone else, Maria is a member of Grafiska Sällskapet, and initially Goran had connected me with her to do the curating, but then with COVID taking place and everything else, it made a lot more sense to have people like you guys who are actually located in Stockholm and accessible to the gallery to do the curating.
Yeah. And she is living abroad. She's living in the
Estonia?
Estonia, I think.
Yeah. And there were other considerations too. The size and dimension of work, shipping internationally. Some of the things that originally were suggested to exhibit here at High Point would have been excellent to show, but financially, as well as time constraints in safely packaging those things for shipment to the United States was just impossible. That's one of the nice things about works on paper and printmaking is it's very easy to package quite a few of them into a small container.
Yeah.
And international shipping is not cheap.
It isn't. So yeah.
No.
Okay. Any more?
Somebody was asking about the book I'm referring to, and I believe it's called Presson.
Yeah.
I think you could probably find that in Amazon. Therese, if you were to stop at High Point during the exhibition or anytime after, we will have the book either out or it will be in our library, and I'd be happy to show it to you if, or even send you the title of it if you want to look for it. And then someone named Terry is asking, is this reciprocal? Will High Point be sending work to Sweden? And
yes, you will do in 2 years.
Yep.
2023, we will like to have you here in our gallery.
Yeah, it's something that we've just barely started to talk about. So,
so the cooperation will continue.
Yeah.
And then you have also to select maybe.
Yeah, which would be fabulous. That'll be very exciting.
Yes.
I think the gallery that you have in High Point is much bigger than our place, even though it's a big one here too.
Yeah, but we will send you
Yeah.
a plan.
Yeah, of course.
So
Oh,
yeah, so you
Yeah.
can see see the
Yeah.
walls and so.
Yeah, we're used to having to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I think this will be our last question, because I wanted to not keep you guys longer than an hour. Somebody said, I noticed the prints by all three of you in the video and liked them. So the video of about Grafiska, this person noticed each of your images in the video.
Ah, okay.
Thank you.
And then
Thank you very much. That's nice to hear.
But there was it was like a longer question, right? Or
Yep. There's another question. They noticed at the credits at the end of the video, it said that the filming and the music were by someone also with the last name Young.
Yes, it's my sons.
Yeah.
They are musicians.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, and
A filmmaker.
yes, and also filmmaker.
Oh, very good. So
They are educated in the Royal Music Academy.
runs in the family. One
Yes.
very last question. Boo and Emmy, do you have children, and are they artists, if so?
No.
no.
No children,
No
no
children.
artists.
No,
No.
yeah, because they couldn't be artists, my sons, because their father is also an artist. So it was
Out of the
complete.
question.
It was complete. Had to do something else. They started to do music then, to play clarinet and piano, and now Lucas, even the pianist, he is doing music and also films. Yeah.
Well, they did a wonderful job.
Yeah, thank
Yes.
you, thank you.
And
More or less last minute, right? That you
Yeah,
made the film.
it was,
So
yeah.
all the credits
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the whole family.
well, I wanna thank you guys once again for
Thank you.
helping bring this work to High Point. It's been a great experience to
Nice.
share this work with our community here, and working with you has been wonderful too.
Yes, and all the discussion.
Likewise.
So nice too.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And all kinds of people now in the chat are saying thank you so much, delightful, this has been really great, etc. So
And thank you to the
thank you.
audience for
Yeah.
joining us.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you
And being so
everyone.
supportive.
Everyone. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
okay, well, thank you again, and take care, guys. I'll
Take
chat
care.
with you.
Stay
I'll
in
chat with you
touch.
soon.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.